Okay. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, to our April 2023 Prayers for Humanity. Our theme for this month is dissolving trauma. So I've prepared some talking points that I want to share with you. I hope they're insightful, and then we will go into a very deeply intentional, guided, shared container for dissolving trauma at the energetic level as a support for any other work we're doing for ourselves or for the collective to that end. So that's that. Let's see, what do I do next? I tell you a little about myself. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is DelVecchio. I'm the lineage bearer of the Mother Spirit Priestess line and the founder of the Return of the Priestess Speaker Series, which this year, coming up pretty soon, you're going to get an announcement about Return of the Priestess 4, but it'll be different this year. It's going to be a live group gathering, much like this. I have been a priestess for almost 39 years now, always easy to track for me because it's pretty much about 6 months younger than my son. So so it's been a long journey through many convolutions. And as we have moved into the quickening, the acceleration of this ascension journey, many of us have felt the call to rise in our leadership. And such has been the case for me, starting in about I started really returning to the temple and leading around 2017. By 2020, that's when, many of us got activated as the world went into lockdown. And that was the case for me. So I host retreats and offer courses online, mentorship, priestess mentorship and initiation. And of course, every month with my beautiful sister and co-priestess Koryanka, do this free event for our human family, really. So let me tell you a little bit about Koryanka now. Koryanka is an Incan high priestess, a medicine woman, and transformational guide for awakening women who want to step into their sacred destiny and live authentically in their divine essence. She comes from an ancient healing tradition of the Incan lineage. In her work as priestess, she continues sharing these ancient spiritual practices and teachings as part of her ancestral legacy. Koryanka is the midwife for the rebirth of women around the world into a bright new life of purpose, and assists priestesses, medicine women, and creatives to step into their highest level of leadership through high ceremony based upon traditional Incan and Amazonian medicine in sacred retreats in Cusco, Peru, and through online retreats and sacred programs. So with that, I want to welcome you, Corey, and invite you to say hello and open our sacred space for us, if you would.
Yes, hello everyone. So good to see you, Dawn and sisters. I always look forward to this event every time, and I love to see you all and so ready to get started and offer our prayers for humanity. Let's start then with a prayer. Let's open up sacred space together. I want to invite you to go within, so maybe closing your eyes make it easier, and we're going to drop into our bodies. Take a nice deep breath. Let it be relaxing. Divine Spirit of love and light, beloved teachers and guides, Pachamama, great spirits of the mountains, spirits of the sacred plants, angels, beloved spirit guides, spiritual warriors, ancestors. May you all surround us in divine love and light. May you come to our aid and remain with us as we are offering prayers for humanity. May you prepare us at this time. The divine light, may it shine bright in every one of us. May we receive plenty of energy and strength from Pachamama. May your medicine flow through us and your great wisdom illuminate our path, now and always. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
Blessed be. Thank you. Thank you, Corey. Thank you again, everyone who is here to be in this container, all those physically, as well as our spirit guides and all those invoked by Koryanka. Let us feel the sacredness of this container, of our intention to show up again and again at such a sometimes challenging time on this planet, to be in service. So again, our theme today is dissolving trauma. And this theme came to me, as they often do, in a flash of, I don't remember if it was a dream that triggered it or what. But it's after that I usually get, like, I notice, I hear the keyword phrase first, and then the signs and symbols and ideas, or outline, if you will, come to me in the days and weeks that follow. And so I kind of flesh it out over time. So I'm going to do a little talk here first, some touchstone points and key things to tease out, and then we'll go into our intention, our prayer and activation for dissolving trauma. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about a little was, or just bring up, is this idea of that there's different types of trauma. So when we think of the word trauma, especially for native English speakers, and I can't say for those of you who are English as a second language, but often we think of trauma as a thing like a car accident, or war trauma like PTSD, where it's extreme trauma. So that's true. And as we become more sensitive and awake, I feel we're starting to realize that there are levels of trauma that may not have been recognized always as traumatic. For example, when we're little and our brilliant imaginations are dismissed as just our imagination. Our invisible friends are poo-pooed as not real. Or we have what might be minor experiences of maybe being ignored by our parents for too long when we're hungry, or getting lost. Like I remember I played with the lock on a dressing room when my grandmother was taking me shopping when I was little, and I got stuck in there, and they had to take the actual hinges off the door to get me out, because I was too small to understand how to unlock the door itself. I mean, I don't think that's a major trauma, but for me, it wasn't anyway, but for someone, it could be a sensitive person. So there are different sort of psychological traumas in that way. But so there's also like how does it come to us? Like, for example, there's behavioral and lineage trauma. So the stereotypical archetypal example, sadly, of this is when you have alcoholism in your family line. So how many times have we seen or heard about, or historically could be recorded, the line of the one sex parent, like let's say it's the father, is a mean drunk, beats up the mom, and then the daughters marry alcoholics who do the same thing, and the sons become that. You could flip that, but I'm being sort of stereotypical to make it obvious what I'm talking about here: lineage trauma. But it could be other things too. People who were in very traumatic war zones and escaped. What did they pass down to their children, which then got passed down to the grandchildren? Survival type of things. Same thing with people in the Nazi concentration camps. There's all of that kind of, we could say, lineage trauma that can happen. There's also physical trauma that, again, through impact, through the physical injuries of things. I was a martial artist for years. I'm still dealing with unwinding certain frozenness in my pelvis around impact trauma. Car accidents are another big example. Ski accidents, where the physical body, the tissue hold trauma. And then there's also collective trauma. And this is a little bit more amorphous. It's a little bit more, yeah, you can't really put your finger on it. And many people who are deeply steeped in regular 3D consciousness, the regular, the only senses are the five senses, and the sixth sense of intuition is just a myth and that kind of thing. They're not in a position to perceive collective trauma, but we can see how this is possible. And again, we can refer to things like war zones, for example. But I would say that there's another order of collective trauma that relates to thousands of years of planetary, how do I want to say this? Where our faculties have been deeply limited. Again, the dismissal of our intuition, our inability to live peacefully without having to work our butts off, for many of us, not everyone, but many of us, living in cities away from Mother Earth. I feel like that's actually something that's so discordant with our mind-body vehicles and the soul that intended to come here. Yes, some of our souls intended to come and live in cities and have that experience. It's true. But there's a frequency. It's like a frequency. So if we tune into the deepest and highest knowing of our oneness, and we can feel into the collective energy, and we know that there are many people who are suffering on this planet, many people for a long time now. There's that way in which that suffering emanates into the field of the collective as well. So part of our ascension journey is to evolve ourselves out of trauma-based mind control, which is a rabbit hole in itself I don't want to get into today, and trauma generally, so that we are living in a different consciousness that is not amenable to trauma imprinting, trauma perpetration, trauma frequency. So why is this relevant now? Trauma limits our capacity to be creative. When we are in any kind of fight or flight, or fear, anxiety, or patterning related to trauma, we truncate and limit and box in our energies for safety. And again, we all have egos. Even there are those who do liberate from the ego in form, and they are wonderful role models for us. They're in full presence, and many of us aspire to that. And let us be real with who we are. We all grew up with egos, and many of us still have them. And depending on the level of trauma we may have encountered, especially before 7 years old, that may be limiting our capacity to be creative. And I want to illustrate with an example here. Right now, we have baby bunnies in the forest here in the land. And of course, bird season, the birds have come back because it's warmed up. And I thought about this funny thing the other day. I was walking around my land and singing silly songs, and I thought about bird bunnies. And I like, what would it be like to have a bunny that flies and sings songs? And I just thought, oh my God, that is just the cutest thing. But here's the next thing that came and how it ties into this. If I were to have shared that idea of a bird bunny with a little kid, they would go off on like all their imaginations of what it would look like and what songs it might sing. And you could feel like the delight of a child imagining and maybe drawing bird bunnies, and that preciousness of that unbounded imagination and delight. And then I thought about talking to adults about that. And I tried it out on my husband. And most adults, bird bunnies, oh, that's cute. And then go on to our adulting, whatever that is. Right. And so it's same thing. I told him that, and he's like, bird bunnies. Oh yeah, I guess that'd be cute. And then I told him, what would it be like to say this to a kid, and how that, how adulting and the pressures of this world to have to earn a living, to all of the things, all the responsibilities, all the convolutions of things like insurance and cars and registration and mortgages and stuff, squash down and tamper down our creativity. So the more we can liberate ourselves from trauma in the collective, within ourselves and our bodies, the more we can do that, the more we can connect with, activate, and turn on our creativity again, to become more innocent like children, which all of the awakened masters, they become more innocent like children, right? Because their egos have dropped and they reconnect with that aspect of divinity. The trauma is gone. The ego is gone as well. Okay, so let's move on here. We cannot be in high service if we are carrying a lot of frozen trauma in our physical or energetic bodies, because when we have a lot of trauma, we have a lot of energy, psychospiritual energy and physiological energy devoted to managing that trauma, to keeping it under wraps, to mitigating reactions to it, all of that. So, and the other thing that does when we're devoting a lot of energy to trauma, and this might not be us here in this group, this could just be our brothers and sisters of Earth, but maybe some of you are dealing with, long-standing trauma that you've been working on. Either way, recognizing that it's an obstruction to our creativity, it's hard for us to be in service to others. And it's also an obstruction to gaining clear channel guidance from our master teachers and our energetic allies, our ancestors, etc. Because the more distortion we have in our energy field because of trauma, the harder it is for us to be in a frequency match to receive high guidance. So this is very, very important at this time, because what I see we've all been doing, many of us have stopped now doing this, is we have a tendency, because the ego is, the ego mind feeds off of the energies of, the ego is always looking to protect ourselves, protect. So it will look for things that might be dangerous, including things like watching the TV news, violent entertainment, this kind of thing. This re-triggers any trauma. So it used to be the consciousness was like, we have to look out for the danger, right? We have to watch. And it's that early stuff of like, who's on guard to make sure that the tiger doesn't come to the cave to eat the babies, right? But it's ridiculous now. It's to the point where, people are addicted to watching the news or violent entertainment. And I'm not, I don't watch the news, but, I think we all have to look at where we are indulging ego that re-triggers trauma. When we look at all the bad things going on in the world, or shoot 'em up movies, or all of that stuff. So this is is shedding the light of awareness on where we are not supporting our own dissolving of trauma. Another couple more things here to share. If we want to be in sacred service to our sisters and brothers of Earth, and that could include family, friends, neighbors, like where we're literally helping people. If we have a lot of trauma-based needs, what we will find is that we end up in codependent relationships. We end up attracting narcissists as the empath. We end up being in service, not because we're pouring from an overflowing cup, but because we are needy to what's the word? It's like battening, like cotton battening, where you cushion the trauma so that we don't feel it. So again, another reason why, for those of us who are here to be in highest service, we can no longer afford to allow trauma to maintain in the body, in the mind, in the subconscious, any of those places. It can't, ultimately, trauma can't come with us in the ascension cycle. As we raise our frequency, and want to raise our frequency, trauma is a very low frequency, right? So it's dissonant. So then we come to, it kind of begs the question, well, Do we need to know all the details of what the trauma is in order to dissolve it? And this is a question I've been asking myself since this topic came up for this month's prayers. I don't have an answer. I'd be interested if any of you have any comments, of course, feedback, suggestions, questions. You could be putting them in the chat box right now. But do we need to know all the details? I'm not 100% sure of that. I'm not a psychotherapist. I cannot say for sure. My guess, though, my deepest feeling about this is that a multifaceted approach to healing trauma is what's called for. So, for example, if you know you had a traumatic childhood, and I know many of you on here this call, some of you have, you know that there are probably a number of ways in a psychotherapeutic sense, not a psychiatric take drugs and knock it out sense, but a psychospiritual, psychotherapeutic sense. There are ways that methodologies and healing modalities that will help you to literally get it out of your system, to clear it out, right? However, the energy modalities that so many that we have right now, Reiki being what I call the energy worker's gateway drug, Reiki being one of them, but not to dismiss it. It's a very powerful one. Prayer, what we're doing here today, these collective prayers, these support any other modalities we're doing. I mean, there are many. There's EFT, there's TRE, there's the I one, that's an ND, I forget which that one is. There's so many modalities that we can apply to support resolving trauma within ourselves. And so our work here today is really to support the collective as well as ourselves through offering a type of, you could say, energy healing modality, the original energy healing modality of prayer. Prayer, intention, attention, and vision. And so let us remember that when we set our intentions, especially collectively, we activate any other means of support that would come our way. So let's say you have been working with resolving early childhood trauma, or even a physical, like I have this sports injury stuff, still working on it, tried a lot of modalities over time, some more work better than others. By setting the intention to dissolve trauma, we literally open the field and invite in other means of support to come our way. Maybe we meet someone who mentions a healer who actually has the modality that takes us to the next level of our healing. So let us remember that these prayers work on many different levels. We send into the field the frequency of love, the frequency of, in this case, dissolving trauma, to support all of life, to support ourselves. And in so doing, we magnetize to ourselves the very things that we need to support our own healing, which may be very, very 3D and practical in nature. Okay, so enter a couple more comments. Energy healing modalities can be used to support shadow work and deep psychospiritual healing. Okay, that's what I just said. This work today is not a replacement for our greater healing. So I have sometimes worked with clients with some NLP and who have deep childhood trauma, or given them astrological insights, that kind of thing. And occasionally they feel they're done. And I can say for sure that if we have deep childhood trauma, especially 7 years or younger, it's not a one and done. It's a process over time that may have been very much connected with other incarnational patterning in that way. And so the best thing we can do is to continue to lovingly allow the unfoldment of the healing or the dissolving of the trauma without getting frustrated, like, wow, I did that one NLP session. Why am I not 100% better? Let us remember that we have all been born into 3D. We have all been born into deep unconsciousness, disconnection from our souls, with perhaps a few exceptions here. Perhaps you had conscious parents. often with trauma in the lineage, often with traumatic or shocking or difficult things as children. And those things take time to unwind. So as always, I ask us to be kind and gentle with ourselves and to know that this container and this intention to dissolve trauma for ourselves and the collective is part of a comprehensive, multifaceted approach to serving a higher order of consciousness for our collective ascension. Okay, so that's my share. Let me just check the chat here, see if there's any questions before we go into the actual meditation. Bella says no worries at all. Thank you, Bella. That was about our mistakes, our mistake today with an email. Gina says, amen. It's such a horrible pattern. Time for healing that. And there's the trauma of physical, emotional, verbal, and mental and sexual abuse and traumas. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that, Gina. And Nancy says, EMDR. Thank you. Yes. EMDR is another modality. And Annie points that out too. I've heard great things. I haven't experienced that one myself, but I've worked with clients who have, and it's come along, helped them come a long way. Stephanie says, I think sometimes we resolve trauma from an intellectual and emotional level, but the energy is still stuck in the physical body and needs to be released. In this case, it could be resolved without knowing what its origin was. It's composting of the energetic remnants that were left behind. Oh, what a beautiful image. Thank you for that. Beautiful. Yeah, for me, with this pelvis thing that goes on and on, I had a big healing this year, but there's still bits of it. It feels the opposite. It's like it's holding on because there's still something deep underneath that's not yet released. So who knows, maybe today's dissolving meditation will take me to the next level as well. That's my hope anyway. Okay, so we are going to go into our, I'm just going to remove Corey's pin now so she could be free to go into her meditation. So we're going to go into our meditation now. So I want to invite you all to take a moment to make yourselves comfortable. I'm going to have another sip of my herbal tea here. Okay. And as always, I invite you to either sit with a spine straight so that you can let the energy flow, or if it feels better to lay down, you can do that. I mean, there's no dogma here. It's just kind of understanding how the body works. And I'm going to drop in here. This is not something I outlined or planned. I'm going to tune into the collective field here and allow guidance to come through for our intention to dissolve trauma for ourselves and for all of life. So if it's safe to do so, you can close your eyes. And I'm being called to guide us to tune into the heart space first. Taking some slow, deep breaths so that you're expanding and activating the heart space and the heart chakra. Engaging the heart chakra, becoming aware of the energies held here, the energies that unite the 3 lower chakras with the 3 upper chakras in the body. We have more than that, but just working with the main 7 here right now. We know that the lower chakras tend to be the places where we often store trauma, either physical trauma or emotional trauma, or the combination thereof. The lower 3 chakras are associated with survival, creativity, and personal will. When our survival is threatened, when our creative sexual potency is traumatized, when our personal will is thwarted, diminished, dismissed, abused, these all impact our energy field of the lower chakras and create distortions, blockages, and trauma in the associated energies with these chakras, the organs, and the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the heart, and we're going to pour energy. We're going to pull down energy. Actually, we're going to pull down energy from the higher chakras first into the heart. Then we're going to bathe each of the lower chakras, and we're going to rise up. So now just take a few more breaths at a pace that works for you into the heart, really seeing the light of the heart expand. The strength of your heart chakra, the love you have within you, opening and expanding into the field all around you with each breath. That's right. Good. Good. And now let us tune into the upper chakras. Let's go to the crown first. And from the crown chakra, we invite in the highest order of God light, the high angelic host, Christ consciousness light, to come down through the crown chakra. The crown chakra is our connection with our oversoul and with our God light. And so pulling from there down into the third eye, illuminating the third eye to allow us greater insight into where healing is requested at this time within ourselves first, and then our family, loved ones, friends, and the collective. And that luminous love light of the divine coming down from crown to third eye into the throat. Maybe even opening your mouth or toning a little bit to activate the vibrational frequency in the throat, in the vocal cords. Ah. Pulling that light in through the throat. Ah. And feeling it come down into the heart space. Ah. So that you feel the flow of God light coming all the way down and expanding your heart even more. Expanding the light emanating from the heart chakra, let's say. Each breath expanding that light further. And feel the balm and the soothing comfort of this light pouring from God's source through you. And feel how it's possible to be in perfect peace at one with our Creator in any now moment as we bask in this light. And now we're going to bring that light down to the solar plexus and bathe the solar plexus in light. And I'm feeling guided for myself. Trust what's right for you, to place one hand on the front of my solar plexus and one hand on the back. And allowing that liquid light to pour down into the solar plexus, the place of our personal will, and the place where we receive nourishment on all levels of our being. And now we clear, clean, and release any and all trauma, known or unknown, held within the solar plexus. Dissolve, dissolve, dissolve in the way that is just right for each person here. Clear, clean, dissolve. being replaced with the liquid light of our divine love. And feel that it is so, it is so, it is so. And dropping down now, let that beautiful liquid light drop down further, past the navel and into the sacral area, the womb space, between the belly button and the pubic bone, in the middle of the body, kind of in front of the spine. And again, if it feels right to do so, you can place a hand on either side. If something else feels right with your hands, do that. And we clear, dissolve, and release any and all trauma held in the sacral chakra in the womb space. Anything that has impacted our creativity, our sexuality, our sense of safety as womb-carrying beings. We release, clear, and dissolve now, known or unknown, at a pace that is just right for each of us here. We bring liquid light, divine light, to replace any spaces made available through the dissolving of old trauma in the energy body and the physical body now. Dissolve, 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 so it is, so it is, so it is. Take a deep breath now into the womb and solar plexus so you really feel an expansion of light in these two centers. And as you exhale, bring your energy and attention down to the base of the spine, to the root chakra. Again, you can place a hand there if that feels right to you. Bringing that liquid light into the root chakra, the place of survival, of inclusion, of being part of the tribe, of feeling rooted and safe in our bodies. And so right now we clear, clean, dissolve any and all trauma, known or unknown, held within the root chakra and its associated organs and the lower body. We do this in the name of love, knowing that we are safe, we are included, we are held always by our beloved Mother God, our beloved Mother, Father God. We clear and clean and fill this space with light. Dissolve, dissolve, dissolve in just the way that is right for you. We heal and enlighten the root chakra in the name of love. So it is. And take a few moments now to allow that light to pour through you, circulate around, using your mind's eye, your attention, and your intention. Let this honey golden light, this liquid light of divine love, circulate and fill every nook and cranny of your physical body and all the layers of your energy body, such that you really feel the way light quickly, gracefully, easefully dissolves trauma on all levels of being. And now bringing your attention and your awareness back up to the heart center. Take another few breaths into the heart. And I want to invite you each now to bring to your mind's eye, as if they are in front of you, someone or someones that you know would benefit from the dissolving of trauma within them and who would be willing to accept this blessing right now. You know, we honor free will always by doing this. So if you don't know, you can ask and trust what comes to you. And so when you have that person or group of people or ancestor, it could be an ancestor, just trust what comes. Just see that person, that being in front of you in your mind's eye. We're going to take this powerful liquid light of love, this dissolving light, and offer it to them. And maybe you see this in a golden vessel, or maybe it's in the palm of your hands or an object. The subconscious mind knows what the symbol is that will be meaningful for you. You offer this light to them. Like for me, I'm seeing a big golden bowl filled with it, and I'm offering it to a specific person in my life, knowing that I offer this with love and blessings. And now I'm seeing that person drink that golden light as a way to dissolve it, to dissolve their trauma. So however that works for you, maybe they're taking a shower or it's just emanating into them. Just choose someone where you're extending this loving compassion, this loving God light to that person or those people or that ancestor. And just take a moment to be with that and observe what comes up, what you notice. And just keep allowing the light to pour into you and circulate around you, emanate from you, and pour forth from your heart for others. Good. And when that feels complete, surround and see that person, ancestor, or group in the light of God, the light of love, and release them to their own life, to their own soul's journey. And once they are released, pull up to your mind's eye our beautiful, beautiful Mother Earth, Earth Gaia. Bring her up in your mind's eye so that you are gazing upon her beauty in whatever way works for you. Maybe you see the globe. Maybe you see a particular spot in nature that is meaningful to you. Just trust what comes. For we know that this is prayers for humanity. And so our prayers extend to all of life, to all of our human brothers and sisters, all of the four-leggeds, the creepy crawlies, the winged ones. And so our next level of offering this dissolving energy is for all of life on Earth Gaia. And again, you may just see the entire globe. You may see a big city somewhere. You may see an entire nation or a family of animals or all of the animal kingdom. Whatever makes sense for you right now, this is your offering, your prayer for the dissolving of trauma in the collective, in the field as a whole, our collective morphogenetic field, the plasmic field that connects us all. We are going to emanate into that field now this golden liquid light, this love light of the divine, for the intent and purpose of dissolving ever so gently trauma held in that collective, in that morphogenetic field, in that plasmic field. And so standing as a pillar of light, beaming love out from your heart, send that love into the field and witness the very gentle dissolving of ancient and new trauma that does not serve life. See the dissolution of the old detritus, sticky energies, however it shows up for you, just gently and quickly dissolving in the light of love. As you pour out this love, as you emanate it into the field, as you see the dissolving of the old points of stagnation, obstruction, darkness into light energy, allow your own breath to lighten. Feel the way this enlightens you. It's a reciprocal engagement of blessing. We give the light of love. We see the dissolving and replacement by that light in our collective plasmic field. And then we breathe in and receive that new enlightened energy. So it lifts us further. So the next breath gives even more light. The next inhale receives even more, so that we lift and rise and lift and rise and lift and rise together. Surrounding the earth, interpenetrating the layers, offering as a blessing to all of life the light that heals, the light that replaces what had been in darkness, the light that dissolves trauma, replacing it with love. And we'll take a few more breaths together, just emanating this into the field. Receiving and sending. Uniting as a one in the name of love. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. And now giving yourself a moment to take in that light for yourself and take in any information, insights, downloads that you've received, bringing it into your awareness, gathering it up like a bundle of flowers. Thanking our guides, thanking Mother Earth, thanking all of our sisters and brothers who share this collective consciousness with us. Offering yourself a blessing. You have the right to be free. You have the right to be at peace. You have the right to dissolve any trauma from the past because you are, as our divine Mother, Father, God created us. You are the love and the light of this world. Blessed be. And then when you're ready, bring your awareness back into your physical body, wiggling your fingers and toes, maybe making some circles with the pelvis or rolling your shoulders, tapping the bottoms of your feet. Take a deep breath. And when you're ready, opening your eyes, fully awake, fully alert in your body. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ooh. Okay. I would like to invite Corey to come back on and seal this with a prayer.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Dawn. Let us receive the gift of freedom from trauma. Let us receive the knowing that we are safe. And so let's pray for that and receive that blessing. May everyone in the universe, all of those powerful spirit guides that we have by our side, bring this deep awareness and help you, each one of us, really anchor this knowing that we are safe. We are safe in our bodies. We are safe in our communities. We are safe in our families. We are safe in every single way. We are loved and we are loved.
Mm.
We are divine light made manifest.
Mm.
And so we deserve to live in total freedom and peace, knowing who we are, knowing that we're taken care of. All of our needs, our wants, our wishes are already taken care of. We are safe. And so may we walk knowing this deeply and being a light for the world.
Mm.
And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you. Blessed be. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to just check and see the comments here. Linda says that gave me goosebumps with your healing, Dawn. Oh, thank you. I definitely got some tingle downloads at the beginning of that. Someone called Owner put a link here. I don't know what that is. Maybe you can explain. Linda says, we are all okay in love and peace. Bella says, thank you so much. Cynthia says, very deep dropping in. Thank you. Okay. So our next, we're almost ready to wrap up here. I know went a little long today. We're at the hour mark almost. Our next prayers will be at the end of May. We haven't clarified the date yet. Corey and I haven't clarified the date, but I have a retreat I'm hosting here from the 18th, no, the 19th to the 24th. So that whole window, I'm kind of, I'm preparing beforehand and then a little bit of wrap up, but it'll probably be the weekend after that. And yeah, so let's see here. We got some more coming in. Mirjam says, thank you. Elisa says, joyful and great. Joyful and grateful to share this holy instant with you, all you beautiful sisters. Thank you, Elisa. Kriti says, thank you very much, Dawn. It was beautiful. Owner says, it's Bogna. I'm sorry, my computer says owner. Oh, Bogna is your name. Okay, blessings to all. This is a link to Dr. Bhutto. His method is relieving the traumas. Thank you. Okay, so a resource there. Thank you very much. Please, sisters, if you're looking for resources, go ahead and check, scroll up on the chat and you can grab that link. Stephen and Janet say, thank you, Dawn. It was beautiful and so calming. Julia says, thank you all so much. Suzanne. Hey, Suzanne. Good to see you all. Good to see you here, or know that you're here. Ursula says, thank you. Okay, so we're getting a lot of thank yous, and thank all of you, of course, because again, when we do this together, we create so much more power than we realize. And I think that will be one of those wonderful things that when we pass from this realm and we get to have our life review, of course, we'll review all of the mistakes we made, but we'll get to see the impact of these beautiful prayers that we offer for the world. So let us not underestimate the value of what we're doing here. It really, again, we can't necessarily perceive it with our 5D senses, but I know that we will one day know the value of it. And then just more prayers and thank yous coming in. Thank you so much, everyone. So I just want to, we're at the end now, but I just wanted to ask Corey to come in and just do a final closing of the space for today.
Okay, let's do this. Let's seal this beautiful container of miracles, truly miracles happening for so many people in the world, thanks to all of us getting together and also supporting each other in doing this healing work. Let's put our hands on our chest, or perhaps one on the heart space and one on your abdomen. The sole of your feet well planted on the ground. And we drop within. Divine Spirit of love and light, beloved teachers and guides, in deep gratitude, we do walk from now on in a new way. We lovingly commit to continuing this beautiful path of dissolving trauma and supporting our brothers and sisters do the same. We offer gratitude for your support, your wisdom, your beautiful medicine, your loving guidance, for being there for us always, even when we don't even know you are around. With so much love, we spiritually hold hands with all of our sisters, now and always. And we now go back to our daily lives in deep blessing. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is, sisters.
Blessed be. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's so good to have you all here. We had a biggish group today. Have a blessed week and a blessed month, and we'll see you next time, I hope, or perhaps for some other thing in between. So you can go ahead and let yourselves out of the room now so Corey and I can have our debrief and connection. So much love to all of you. Bye for now. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You. See you soon.
Oh, and I can stop the recording. I always forget to stop the recording. Let's see. Here we go.